Alright, now it's time to start the real hack. Now the first thing, make sure that your machines are active and running, and don't forget that the network must be bridged. So from here, make sure it is bridged and make sure you choose the exact interface that you have. Alright, so this is the Tor and this is for the Kali, which is the Elliott machine, the hacking machine. It is for bridge as well. Alright, now open it. Now here is the Ubuntu machine. Now actually make sure that the Tor service is running and active. Sudo su dash actually to go as a root user. Tor 123123. Yeah, if there is a mistake here. Alright, yeah, cool. Now systemctl status. Actually, I want, yeah, to increase the font size. Systemctl start seat status Tor. Yeah, it is running, but it's better to restart it actually to make sure everything is working as expected. The same thing for Nginx. All right. Now let's run this tool or this netstate-ntlp. Yeah, you can see it is not here, so let's install it. Now we have this tool ss-ntlp, so you can see that, yeah, it is running on port 80, which is the Nginx, and here on this port we have the Tor. By the way, sorry about this because actually, yeah, this is better, I think. So you can see that here it is the Tor, where it is. Yeah, here it is. The user is for Tor here. All right, which is running localhost on this port. All right, cool. So we are running. Now, actually, let's go to the etc Tor. Or actually not the etc Tor, it is var lib Tor hidden services, and inside it we have the hostname. So let's go to hostname, let's copy it, and let's open the Tor browser. And actually I downloaded it here in the downloads. Here it is. So I will go to it and here open the terminal here and /start the name of the browser, which is the bash script, by the way, or shell script, let's say. So here it will open in a moment. Yeah, here it is. You can see that it is now running. Now let's paste that to see if it is working or not. All right, cool. Now you can see that, yeah, it is running successfully. Now you can see that Tor website. Here are some disgusting content or whatever, the child pornography website that Elliott captured. All right, now here it is. Okay. All right, cool. Now let's clear the screen and let's go to the another machine, which is the Kali Linux machine. Now here, if you open the terminal like this, so actually, let's increase this font size. So actually, if I type ifconfig, you can see that here is the IP address, which is, as you can see, the subnet is .192.168.8 and 113, so 8.1.103. But here, actually, if I type ifconfig like this, you can see that, yeah, it is 8.114, which is the same subnet or the same network. Okay, cool. Which means that we are serving the Tor website on the same bandwidth. As in the show, they serve the Tor website on Ron's Coffee network or bandwidth. All right, so we are ready to go. So from here, actually, the first thing, we want to make the man-in-the-middle attack. So for that, we will use the technique ARP spoofing, okay? And for that, the tool we will use, actually, let's go sudo su dash, so, which is Elliott 123123, or actually it is just Elliott. All right, now we will use the tool called ettercap. So you can see that ettercap like this, and if I man it, so he will open the manual. This is a multi-purpose sniffer content filter for man-in-the-middle attacks. All right. Now there are a lot of tools for man-in-the-middle attacks. By the way, there are ARP spoofing, man-in-the-middle framework, a lot of things actually. You can read more, but this one is good. So for it, we will use the -T option, which is the text-only interface, as you can see. Also, we will use the -M capital, and the M here actually is the man-in-the-middle attack. As you can see, -M or -MITM, which is man-in-the-middle attack. And for that, we will use ARP, okay, which is this one, all right? And we will use remote. So, by the way, you can read more about this tool, what is remote, what is one way, but briefly, remote, which is two-way, one way, which is one way, all right? So, from this IP to this IP, or from as one direction or multi-direction, okay? don't worry, we will handle it. Now, the first thing, ethercap, and then dash T, which means text and as a verbose, dash I, the Ethernet or the interface actually. And how to do that? Just type ifconfig, and you can see that here the Ethernet or the interface I'm using is ETH0, Ethernet 0. And by the way, this is inside the virtual box. Okay, so I will use F0, and here we will use dash M capital as we learned previously, ARP, like this, and we will choose remote. Okay, now remote, here we will provide the first IP address as you can see here, and then the second IP address. Okay, all right. Now the first IP address, which is the IP address of the network or of the router actually. Now how to know about it? Now remember when Elliot actually connected to the Ron's Cafe. So, and Ron's Cafe access point or the switch will have the DHCP protocol enabled. So it will give him an IP, as well as we will understand that this is the network and here is the subnet for it. So we understand that these are the network part and these are the host part. So most likely it will be 192.168.8.1. Alright, cool. And to know the IP address of the network, we will use the route command, route-n, and you can see that the gateway we are going to, which is this one. If you notice here, this one is the same as this one as the subnet, this first part, which is the network part. So actually, let's increase the font size. So here 192.168.8, here it is 192.168.8.1, which is, this is the gateway or the IP of the router. So from here I will put it, okay, and put // then / the IP of the victim, okay, which is the IP of the Tor machine. Cool, which is this one, okay, Tor 123.123. Now you may ask me, but I don't have access on this Tor machine. How should I know it? All right, it's okay, I got you. So if I type ifconfig, this is the IP of it, all right? But how should I know this is the IP for this specific machine? All right, for that we will use a tool called netdiscover, okay? So actually, let's go sudo su dash to go as a root user, Elliot user. So here we will have command called netdiscover, okay, like this. And if I type enter, it will start scanning all the IPs inside the network. So let's give it some times until we got the IPs. Okay, now after a time, I got these IPs. So this is the IP of the router. You can see Huawei technology, whatever. Here is one of the clients, Intel Cooperate, whatever. Here is another client, which is BCS and system, whatever. Now how Elliot knows that this is the IP for this machine, actually, he will try guessing here, okay? And actually, it took him a lot of times to detect if there are a lot of clients, what are the clients today. He came to the cafe a lot of times actually, and he starts scanning until he reached to the conclusion that this is the IP of this Tor server. Okay, so I can stop it right now and I can take this IP. So let's make sure that it's 114. Actually, if I go here, yeah, it is 114, which is the same one. All right, now actually remember this virtual machine, this one, the Kali machine, is completely separate from the Tor server, by the way, because we are using a virtual machines. So how did I know that? Because they are in the same network, and using the netdiscover tool, we discover that this is the IP of the machine. All right, now let's copy it and let's put it here. And again, the same syntax, which is //. So the syntax will be like this. Ethercap, again, a quick recap here. We will use the command, which is ethercap, -t capital, which means text or verbose, -i the interface, which is F0 that I'm using on Kali Linux on my hacking machine, -m capital, which means man in the middle attack, and the technique will be ARP with remote, and the difference between remote and one way, which means remote, which means that we will send traffic and intercept the traffic between this IP and this IP, and we will send the traffic between them, not as a one way, as a bi-directional, all right, which means from this to this and from this to this, all right. And this is the IP of the gateway or the router or the switch in our topology. And this is the IP of the Tor machine. How did we know about this? We used the Net Discover tool and we found it here. Now it is not as simple as that, because there are, imagine we have 10 or 15 clients that are connected to the network. So actually it took him a lot of time, maybe 1 month, maybe 2-3 months, I don't know actually, until he discovered that this is the IP, or this is the static IP. So the first day he found that there are 10 or 20 IP, and the other day there are another IPs, and he made a list, okay, with the IPs he found, and he found out that this IP keeps showing over and over in the list he made. So he assumed that this is the IP of the machine, so he will start doing it. So actually before that he will start intercepting the traffic. Alright, now by doing that I will start intercepting the traffic and doing man-in-the-middle attack. Again, I warn you to do that to harm others. Please do it to defend yourself, your business, cafe, or wherever, okay, from such attacks. Alright, press enter. Now you can see that it will start showing. So here actually we are starting intercepting the traffic and so on. So this is the first step. Alright, now if I go here, actually if I open the browser, which is Tor website, if I refresh it and it is opened, so if I go here, actually it got that and intercepted here through our network card. So it's time to start sniffing the traffic. Now here to intercept the traffic, now it's time to start sniffing the traffic. How to do that? Actually we will use sudo Wireshark, okay, or open the Wireshark from here, okay, it's okay, but I prefer it to run it as a root, actually, like this. Cool. Now we will choose the traffic interface or the network interface, which is F0, and here actually is the network interface that we are running the attack on, or that we are intercepting the traffic, man-in-the-middle attack. Alright, so we will choose it, and from here we'll start intercepting everything. So actually there are a lot of information, a lot of data, and so on. Now actually how to detect a Tor website? Okay, now the first thing, there are a lot of methods or way to detect a Tor website. The first thing, using the Tor port number. By default, the Tor port number is the TCP.port. Actually, I'm using the filter here. Equal 9001. Okay? Yeah, we got it. Okay? From our first try, we got that there are a Tor website running on Tor server. Okay? Now, how actually did I know this is the default port number for Tor website? Now, actually, it's not from me. I just read about it. This is the default port number. How it is the port 80, the default for HTTP. This is the default port for Tor. Simple. Now, this is one of the way to detect a Tor website. Now, some people change this default because they want to make it very hard to capture the traffic or capture there is a Tor website running. So they change this default port to something else. So we cannot use this method. We need another method. And what is the method? Actually, by typing the IPs. All right. Now, remember from the topology, from the theory side, from Tor, or how Tor works, that we mentioned that there are exit nodes or entry guards, right? And they have a public IPs available. All right. Now, if we have a list of the known public IPs for the entry guards or the exit nodes and compare it here, then we can find it. And you can see that this is the IP. You can see that. So if I remove this, so let's remove this filter. So you can see that there are a lot of traffic. All right. Now I am intercepting that the source is coming from this and going to this arbitrary destination public IP address. Okay. And the protocol is TLS whatever. Okay. So for the source IP, I know that this is the IP of the Tor machine. We saw that 8.114. We saw that. Now the destination, what is this IP address? All right. So I want to make sure that this IP is not one of the entry guard or exit nodes. Okay. So if it is one of these, so we make sure that this is a Tor website. So we are communicating, or this Tor server, the Ubuntu server, I mean this one, is communicating with a Tor website, and he got connection from an exit node or whatever. Okay. Now, by the way, I used the Tor browser or Tor client from the same machine. So if I have it from another machine, it is okay. It will be the same actually. Okay, because we got connection through our network from some IP address through this. So either it is coming from the same network of Ron's Cafe, or it is coming from a network from outside Ron's Cafe through the internet, as we saw previously. Okay, it's okay. It is the same after all. Either running or seeing if it is a TCP port on port 9001, or we can see that there are some public IP addresses. You can see that there are some public IP addresses, and let's start checking these public IP addresses. For that, actually, I provided you with these links. Actually, I got this from the official documentation, the relay search. We already know that the relay or the nodes in Tor network are running as a volunteer around the world, all right? So some of these bad people are using these relay or these nodes as entry guard or as exit nodes, okay? So we will assume that in the show that the Tor website was using one of these nodes, okay, from these, and Elliot, he captured this. So actually, let's take this IP for example. So actually, if we have this IP address, which is this one, okay, so let's search about it, 219, okay. Now you can see that it is not here, okay. Now let's find here in the entry guard. So this is for the entry guard, by the way. As you can see, the search is, oh sorry, for the exit guard, for the exit node. The flag is exit. Here for the entry guard or the guards. So if I found it here, if I search about it here, oh, you can see we found it. So which means that this IP address is used as a guard. Where it is, here it is, yeah. As entry guard or as a guard, which means that, yeah, this traffic, where it is, yeah, here it is, that this means that this IP address, which is the IP address of Tor, is contacting an entry guard or exit node with this public IP address. We assumed now that 90% or more actually, let's say it is 97%, we are seeing a Tor traffic, okay? By the way, we already assumed that by seeing the TCP port, which is 9001. We already saw that, but imagine if that the default port has been changed, okay? So this is the other way, which is by looking or by searching for the public IP we are talking to. So the public IP of the entry guard or the exit node, we found it here, we searched about it here, and I provide you, by the way, with these links. And actually you can search it here from the official documentation or the official website. And we noticed, or we know that this is our Tor website that are running on this specific port, okay? Now, not specific here on this specific IP, because this IP is the IP of the Tor server itself, all right? Because we are running the Tor client or Tor browser from the same server. All right, so far so good. Now, we noticed that this is the IP of the server that are coming or going to this one. So we came with a conclusion. This IP is the IP of the server that we are contacting an exit node or entry guard, whatever, which is used in the Tor network. So we will assume that this IP address is the IP address. So let's stop that. So we will assume that this IP address is the IP address of the Tor server, or maybe Tor client. I don't know actually. We don't know. So how to make sure? We will start scanning this IP address. So actually, let's stop that by typing Ctrl+C. All right. We don't need to intercept anymore. Okay. Let's quit from this. Let's quit from the Kali, from the Wireshark. Let's quit from it. We don't need it anymore. Now we assume that this is the IP address, which is this one, .168.8.114. This is the IP address of this suspicious Tor server. Maybe Tor server, maybe not. How to make sure? We will start using the nmap utility or tool. So nmap to start scanning. So nmap this IP address, and you can see that it will show us only the port 8000, because by default this is the first 1000. So let's type this time -p- to scan all the ports, and let's give it some time, because the port 9000 is not within the first 1000. By the way, you can see not shown, 999 closed. All right, cool. Now you can see that even though we scanned everything, as you can see all ports, so you can see that all the ports are closed. Now, why the port 9001 is not opened here? Because if you noticed here in the Tor server, yeah, I know we don't have access yet on this server, but we already know the technology. So from here, actually, if you go to the vim etc tor rc or tor rc, you can see that if I go to the dir something, where it is, yeah, the hidden service dir, you can see that it is running 80 on the local host 80. All right, so here it is. So you can see that it is running locally. So you can see that here it is. So the port that are running 9000, you can change it, by the way. Okay, so we didn't, so by that actually we made sure that, yeah, it is running on port 80. So this is HTTP Service Engine X. And why we use it, why we use that on port 9001. Okay, so you can see that it is on this IP address and on this 9000 port, which means that, yeah, it is a Tor website 100% on this IP address. All right, now here's come the part of how to hack the machine. Now actually hacking Tor website or Tor exit node is very hard. So how Elliot managed to hack this specific server? Now they didn't give much details about how he hacked it, but maybe he found some vulnerability on this machine. Okay, so maybe he was able to access it through the network, as you can see, because it is port 80. So, or he can found there is a bug or vulnerability running in this server, and he compromised the system by that. But from the dialogue, he said that he is the one in control of the exit node, which makes me the one on control. So from this dialogue, we understand that he compromised not the Tor server, he compromised the exit node, which is actually harder than compromising the server itself. So if he said that, yeah, we noticed that the server in the same network, and I scanned it, I found there are some vulnerability and start hacking it, though actually this is a better. But he said that no, he compromised the exit node, that referring to this machine. Now how to compromise a Tor exit nodes or entry guard? Actually it's very hard. You need to compromise almost 90% of the Tor relay networks around the world, and then you will start capturing the traffic on each one, and then you can detect that it is going to Tor on Ron's Cafe, and this what makes it hard actually. So this is just for the show, this is not real 100%, to be honest. So theoretically it is possible, but actually it takes a lot of dedication, effort, time, and on top of that you need a lot of luck. Actually 90% you need luck, to be honest, because from the theory part I showed you that choosing the relay or choosing the circuit for this Tor network, it requires randomization, and to know exactly that the traffic going from this place to this Tor server is very hard. So how he managed to do that, I don't know actually, but I think this is for the sake of the show. After all, they need some drama, right? By the way, I provided you the method how to hack a Tor website, the ways to hack a website, Tor website. Well, it sounds insane or impossible, let's say hard, but just as a theory part, okay? So we will assume that actually to be a real life, that in the Tor, in Ron's Cafe, the Tor server exists, and here it is the IP address of it, and he managed to find a vulnerability here inside this server, and he started hacking it, and he managed to hack it by exploiting that vulnerability, and which is clearly they didn't show us and they didn't give much